Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. Our glories to Krishna Prabhupada. Our glories to our beloved speaker for today, His Grace, ADVAITA-KRISHNA VANACARI, and all glories to the assembled Vaishnavi devotees. Devotees, we thank you for being here as always. It is our privilege we have His Grace, who is going to be sharing Krishna Katha with us from the Nectarian Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhuji needs no introduction. Prabhuji, you're welcome back to your own home, Hare Krishna, Africa.
Hare Krishna.
And without
Hare
further
Krishna.
ado, we may put the verse on the screen and you take it over from here.
All right. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Sapatantikam Vandehang Siguru Shri Yudapadakumalam Sigurum Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sargana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Shavadutam Varijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishakhan Vitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Sri Mati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshata Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadvaita Gadadhara Sivasari Shigora Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, dear devotees, you have the verse. Thank you again very much. I'm honored to be in the association of my old friends and devotees from West Africa and a few devotees from Mauritius and others from wherever on the planet Lord Chaitanya connects us with. And this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 15, it's a description of the kingdom of God from the point of view of Shukadeva Goswami, relating to the pastimes of the four Kumaras, having had the opportunity to reach Vaikuntha. Of course, they stir by cursing Jai and Vijay, dear servants of Lord Vishnu. And then in the last section, you must have studied, Lord Vishnu had to come hurriedly so that he stops the escalation of the incident. And in so doing, he actually also gave darshan to these four Kumaras. And the Lord arrives and gives darshan to the four Kumaras. We've studied that, I think. That section ends about text 44, 45, which you have studied. Now it is the Kumaras who pray, which is as from text 46, I think. So yes, I have it here. Yes, 46. Yes, Kumara Uchu. The Kumaras starting to pray to the Lord after the Lord has de-escalated the situation with the with Jai and Vijay, and the Lord has given his darshan. The Lord spoken to the Kumaras, glorified the status of the Brahmanas. Now the Kumaras starting to speak. So we're going to study that section, and just for information's sake, and for those who are following on a regular basis, it started with a verse yesterday, and it will go to about 5 verses till the end of the chapter with Kumara is going to speak. Let us see what they say, what is their realization, just to situate everything properly. And I know what I have to speak on. So today my verse is text 47, Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, and chapter 15, description of the kingdom of God, text 47. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Niram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye. Nastapreshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayo. Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Tang tang vidhamam bhagavan paramatma tattvam sattvena sampratirating rachayantamesham yatte nutapavidite ridha bhakti yoger udgrantayo vidhur manayo viraga. We know, okay, I'll read the word meaning. Tam, him, tvam, you, Vidama, we know. Bhagavan, O Supreme Personality of Godhead. Param, the Supreme. Atma Tattvam, the Absolute Truth. Sattvena, by the form of pure goodness. Samprati, now. Ratim, love of God. Rachayantam, creating. Esham, of all of them. Yat, which. Te, your. Anutapa, mercy. Viditai, understood. Drida, unflinching. Bhakti yogai, through devotional service. Udgranthaya, without attachment. Grantha means not. Udgranthaya means without not or without attachment. Free from material bondage. Hridi, in the heart. Viduhu, understood. Munnaya, great sages. Viragaha, not interested in material life. Translation. We know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead who manifests his transcendental form in the uncontaminated mode of pure goodness. This transcendental eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy through unflinching devotional service. By great sages whose hearts have been purified in the devotional way. The absolute truth can be purported by his divine grace. Let me read the translation again. We know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, who manifests his transcendental form in the uncontaminated mode of pure goodness. This transcendental eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy. Through unflinching devotional service. By great sages whose hearts have been purified in the devotional way. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The absolute truth can be understood in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here it is admitted that the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the last word, in understanding the absolute truth, even though the four Kumaras were instructed by the great learned Father Brahma, they could not actually understand the absolute truth. They could only understand the supreme absolute truth when they personally saw the personality of Godhead with their own eyes. In other words, if one sees or understands the supreme personality of Godhead, the two features of the absolute truth, namely impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma, are also automatically understood. Therefore, the Kumaras confirm you are the ultimate absolute truth. The impersonalist may argue that since the Supreme Personality of Godhead was so nicely decorated, he was therefore not the absolute truth. But here it is confirmed that all the variegatedness of the absolute platform is constituted of Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. In the material world, any quality, goodness, passion, or ignorance is contaminated Even the quality of goodness here in the material world is not free from tinges of passion and ignorance. But in the transcendental world, only pure goodness without any tinge of passion or ignorance exists. Therefore, the form of Supreme Personality of Godhead and his variegated pastimes and paraphernalia are all pure sattva guna. Such variegatedness in pure goodness is exhibited eternally by the Lord for the satisfaction of the devotee. The devotee does not want to see the Supreme Personality of absolute truth in voidness or impersonalism. In one sense, the absolute transcendental variegatedness is meant only for the devotees, not for others, because a distinct feature of transcendental variegatedness can be understood only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord and not by mental speculation or ascending process. It is said that one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead when one is even slightly favored by him. Otherwise, without his mercy, a man may speculate for thousands of years and not understand what is actually the absolute truth. This mercy can be perceived by the devotee when he is completely freed from contamination. It is stated, therefore, that only when all contamination is rooted out and the devotee is completely detached from material attractions can he receive. It is stated, therefore, that only when the contamination is rooted out and the devotee is completely detached from material attraction can you receive this mercy of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mukham karatu vachalam pungulange tegirim jat kripatam bande. Sri Gurung Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. So this is a second verse, the prayer of the Kumaras to the Supreme Lord. And in this prayer, he is saying that the transcendental form of the Lord can only be understood anutapaviditer, which means through unflinching devotional service, Trida Bhakti Yoger. And by who? By Drida Bhakti Yoger means by great sages who are interested only in spiritual life, completely disinterested in material life. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the absolute truth. The supreme absolute truth, Satyam Param Dhimahi, or the supreme absolute truth is defined as the first invocation mantra of Srimad Bhagavatam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of God, Vasudev, son of Vasudev. So the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. It is not a concept, it's not an idea. The Supreme Absolute Truth is not an energy. The Supreme Absolute Truth is not certainly a particular specific form that has no definition. The Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And his expansions, they also reflect the same energy as the Supreme Absolute Truth. So the Supreme Absolute Truth is one, he is nanatvam. There's no two absolute truth. Everything is relative to the absolute truth. There's one absolute truth, but he manifests in many forms. The one Supreme Absolute Truth, he takes on many different forms, Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. He is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is one without a second, Advaitam. Achyutam, he is without fault or without propensity to fail. Anadim, the original Supreme Person. Anantarupam, yet he has unlimited forms. He is Adyan Purana, he is a original preceptor, he is the original person. Adyan Purana Purusham, yet he is also the eldest person. So that's the Supreme Absolute Truth. He's a person. But yet, Navayovanamcha, He is ever youthful 16-year-old boy. Navayovanamcha. The Supreme Absolute Truth is the eldest personality, one without a second, one who never fails. He has millions of forms, unlimited number of forms, and yet he is the eldest person, Puranam, Purusham. He is transcendental, and he is a person, and he is always useful. But how do we understand him? He says, Vedeshu Durlabham. We cannot come to the understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Supreme Person, Sri Krishna or Lord Vishnu, by the study of Vedas. Vedeshu Durlabham. Because the study of Vedas, the study of Shastras is aspect of Jnana. So when we study the Vedas, we become Jnanis, and we meditate on the impersonal form of the Vedas when we become impersonalist Jnanis. But Krishna doesn't reveal himself, Nayam Atma Pavarchanena Labhyana Bhunashutena. He doesn't reveal himself by those who just simply hear different varieties of explanations of Vedas. No. Vedeshu Durlabham. He remains very far away for those who just study the Vedas, which means the Jnanis. But he becomes readily available, Adurlabham Atma Bhakta, those who are Atma Bhakta, which means Drida Bhakti Yogis, those who are exclusively devoted as devotees of Krishna, as devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Lord, he becomes readily seen by those. So, but the Supreme Absolute Truth, Prabhupada in the purport is explaining that the Supreme Absolute Truth has three features in the first line of the purport. And he says it can be understood in the three features. This is a very foundational basis of explanation of the Absolute Truth, which is given in Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, in the chapter entitled Divinity, Divine Service, I think 1 to 11. Yeah? Where the explanation of the Supreme Absolute Truth is given. Vadanti tat tattva vidas. Tattam adjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmiti bhagavaniti sabdyate. Those who are the seers of the truth have concurred or have concluded that the Supreme Absolute Truth can be understood in three phases. And Prabhupada is repeating it here. It can be understood as Brahman, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Sapyate. Brahman, then Paramatma and Bhagavan. This is the proper understanding of the Absolute Truth. Even though the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Vishnu or Sri Krishna, we still have to understand that there's two other aspects of that Absolute Truth. One is a Brahman aspect, the energy aspect, the impersonal aspect. That is also the Supreme Absolute Truth, but it is not complete. And then Paramatma, the indwelling Lord, the immanent Lord that goes into everything. And therefore he maintains whatever is sustainable and created. That Paramatma is also a feature of the Absolute Truth. So there's three features here. There is Brahman, the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Then there's Paramatma, the localized. Prabhupada uses this word very intelligently. It may seem like an inelegant word, localized. What does that mean, localized? Means that it is immanent. It goes into everything that is created inside, like in here, okay, or in this body, or in your body, or in this little body of this lizard, in this ant. So everywhere there's Paramatma. Here the immanent Lord, the Antaryami. So what is a function of the impersonal Brahman? The impersonal Brahman is the energy of the spiritual sky in which everything is sustained. Brahmanohi pratishtaham. Just like you see the sky here, all the luminaries, all the planets, everything is sustained in the sky. And you look up and you see the sky and everything is sustained. And it is flooded by the energy of the sun. And the sun comes through the sky and then it energizes all the living beings situated on different parts of the earth's surface, or the birds that flies, or the clouds that evaporate water. Everything is sustained within that. So the Brahma Jyoti is similarly the spiritual energy that is pervading in the Paravyoma, which is a spiritual sky. It's called Paravyoma, right? And within that Brahman, all the spiritual planets and all spiritual existence is sustained. Krishna says, Brahmano hi pratistham. Yeah, in Bhagavad Gita. Everything is pratishtha, means it is resting on me. So the personal feature of the Lord generates the Brahman, and the personal feature of the Lord also generates Paramatma, the two other aspects. So everything that is existing is sustained in that spiritual energy called Brahman. But then even though it is sustained in the spiritual energy called Brahman, Brahman is nondescript. Brahman cannot be defined. Brahman is nirguna, it doesn't have quality. It doesn't have quality, it doesn't have material quality, and it is just an energy of existence. And therefore, all the jnanis, they want to leave the material sky and go and live in the spiritual sky, which is a Brahma Jyoti. But there's no specific destination of the spiritual sky. Therefore, they attain Sayujya Mukti, which means they leave this world and then they disentangle themselves from having to enter another body because they give up their desire. They realize their spiritual identity as being a spiritual atom. And then when they're liberated from the desire of having material body, they just go into the Brahma Jyoti. That's a kind of mukti, kind of liberation. What is it liberation from? Liberation from material, having to have a material body, enter material existence again. So then Paramatma, for everything that is generated, created by the Supreme Lord, its functionality has to be sustained. Its functionality has to be sustained. How does one sustain the functionality, the specific functionality of everything that is created? A universe is created in a cycle, and it will be maintained for a purpose. So who will maintain the energy of sustenance? Who will provide the energy of sustenance of the universe? No one else can do that except the Supreme Lord. So each universe is sustained by the Lord entering into it. And when he enters each universe, he is known as Vishwatma or Jagatatma, or sometimes as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So he's the soul of the universe. He enters into the universe and makes sure that the universe functions. Then in that universe, the Brahma creates all these different entities, bodies, rivers, mountains, humans, demigods. Then all these bodies also have to be sustained for a certain length, a certain period of time. And that supervision is also done by Paramatma. So Paramatma is very much localized. He goes into everything. It is important to understand this as sadhakas, that this is the proper understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Now, we may just understand Krishna, and then we may think, well, the material world is separate from Krishna. No. And Brahma Jyoti is separate from Krishna. No. The proper understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth is as there is Brahman, there's Paramatma, but there's also the manifestation of Krishna's material energy, which is a lower form of energy, Prakriti, material energy. And that material energy is a creation of the Supreme Lord, which is done in the material realm. And that creation of the material world in the material realm is also an energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what I'm trying to bring up here is full understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth is understanding he is a Supreme Absolute Truth, he's a Supreme Person in the form of Krishna. All the different expansions of Vishnu and the Chaturvyuhas come from him, right? And millions of Vaikuntha planets are inhabited by unlimited forms of Lord Vishnu. They also come from him. Then millions and millions of liberated souls living in the spiritual world, they are part and parcel of him. They are what you call liberated jivas. And then there's another realm, Ekapad Vibhuti, a quarter of that is the material realm, which is also a creation of the Supreme Lord, but this creation is cyclic. This creation is not a linear, ever existing creation. It is created, it goes through a cycle, and it is destroyed. Just like everything else in this material world goes through a cycle. We go Monday to Sunday in a week and then go again. And then January to December, we go again. And then yearly, we go again. And then Yuga cycles, and then Mahayuga cycles, then Kalpa cycles. Everything is a cycle, and then you get destroyed. The whole creation is destroyed, but the creation is non-different than Krishna. Why am I bringing this up? Is because we had some realization, some understanding some days back that, and yesterday I was bringing it up in a class too. He said, as long as we think that this material creation has nothing to do with the Supreme Lord, but it is only created for our use, and that we are sent here and this is our realm, then that is the underpinning of our material conditioning, and that is what makes us live in this material world and stay almost permanently in this material world. When we think that this material energy is separate from the Supreme Lord, it is meant for our use. No, this material world is also part of the creation of the Lord. Who maintains it? Who maintains this material world? Paramatma, he maintains it. He enters into the universe, he enters into the bodies, he enters into the demigods, he enters into the animals, the plants, and everything, and he maintains it. But that's also his creation, and he maintains it for Paramatma. So that is proper understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth. And the devotee, he understands that. And therefore he does not see the material creation as being a second thing from the spiritual world. No, it's part of the same thing, but it is meant for a separate category of jivas who want to do their own thing. And as long as the jivas want to do their own thing in this separated category of creation by the Supreme Lord, we're going to be entangled in this material universe. And when we realize that everything here is for the service of Krishna, then we begin our ascension, begins our liberation from this creation. So understanding everything coming from Krishna, that's the proper understanding of absolute truth. Now, what happened here for the Kumaras? For the Kumaras, he said, they have had the unlimited mercy to have experienced the bliss of directly meeting the Lord. And they were so fortunate because they initially only had understanding of the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord because they were jnanis. But they had previously seen a certain aspect of the Supreme Lord by hearing from their father, Brahma. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains this, that in this previous prayer, they were saying, we have seen you. But they haven't kind of seen him physically, but they had seen him through the process of hearing by their father. And they wanted to physically come to the Vaikuntha planet and, so to speak, spiritually and physically, come to the Vaikuntha planet and see the Supreme Absolute Truth in his full glory. So then they were praying in the previous verse that now you have come here and we are able to see you. So we had only this Brahman realization. And even though they were in the Brahman realization, they were perfectly happy. They were satisfied. But you remember I gave the class some time back, and I was saying that when they entered the realm of Vaikuntha, they start experiencing a bliss. They already were very blissful, completely satisfied. But they started experience a bliss, which is a parama ananda, which is a bliss not comparable to their level of realization as Brahman, as Gyanis. They started experiencing a very high level of bliss because that is a different realm. It is a source of all joy and bliss. So they are actually now very fortunate. And in their prayers, they're saying that we are very, very fortunate that today we know the meaning of what it is to have a meeting with you. And this meeting is been made possible by the incomparable mercy of your devotees, which means Lord Brahma, which means also Jai and Vijay. Because when they came in and they had this little incident with Jai and Vijay, and Lord hurriedly came. So they are appreciating the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And in this verse, Prabhupada is saying that it is impossible to actually get full understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth as Bhagavan without the mercy of the devotees. So in this verse 47, they're saying, until this time, we've just been jnanis. Jnanis, which means we had understanding of Brahma Jyoti and our spiritual identity as Atma, as Brahman. But now we have become devotees. And he's saying, now we have become devotees. And how have they become devotees? He said, this is by the good fortune of your other devotees. And this is what they're expressing here. And he's saying that now we know that you are the person whom our father, Lord Brahma, was describing. But we couldn't fathom your form by the level of spiritual realization we had at our command when we were just jnanis. Because you exist beyond the modes of material nature. You exist within the realm of Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. So just to clarify some aspects of this understanding of pure goodness, in material world we have Sattva Gun and Rajagun and Tamogun, and everything is a combination of these three modes of material nature. And neither the Tamogun nor the Rajagun nor the Sattvagun exist purely by themselves. Everything is mixed. So a devotee, he always tries in his life to move from the lower modes from the influence of the lower modes of material nature and come to the higher Sattva Guna. He tries to come to Sattva Guna. But you can only come to a certain aspect of Sattva Guna in the material world, and the Sattva Guna you come to in the material world by the different processes will always be contaminated by certain percentage or certain aspects of qualities tainted by Rajagun and Tamogun. So when Sattva Guna is manifest in its pure state, it's called Shuddha Sattva. And Shuddha Sattva is not like mode of goodness 100%. It is, so Shuddha Sattva is not mode of goodness, material mode of goodness 100%. It goes into a different interface. So when Sattva Guna, mode of goodness, becomes 100% mode of goodness, it transcends to the other side of the barrier. It becomes transcendental. So therefore, 100% pure goodness is not found in this material world. As long as it is within the realm of this material world, goodness will never be pure. When it becomes 100% pure goodness, it crosses a barrier and becomes transcendental. So it becomes Shuddha Sattva. And the boys are saying, he says, now we have realized you since we have become Vaishnavas. By the transformation, the experience by the smell of the beautiful body of the Lord mixed with tulasi, mixed with Chandan, they had experienced a devotional transformation, a pichita tanvo. The consciousness has changed and they become devotees because they're starting to appreciate the quality. Now, one question here. How come before they weren't able to be devotees? Because Brahman is nondescript. Brahman doesn't have quality, doesn't have guna. So therefore, they have nothing to appreciate except that it is pure spiritual substance. But the Supreme Lord has quality. So even the Atmaramas, maybe you've heard this verse in the last few days. It is a famous Atmarama verse which is explained by Lord Chaitanya. That even Atmaramas, we mean Gyanis, which means impersonalist meditators, Gyanis, even they become attracted by the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord. Atmarama means one who is completely satisfied within himself, having realized he is not the body, he is a soul. Atmaramas chomunnayor nirgante apyurukrume kurvanti mahitukim bhakti mitam buto guno hari. They're still attracted by the quality of the Supreme Lord. So these four boys got attracted by the beautiful flavor, the sights, the sound, the form, everything that was in the spiritual realm related to Lord Vishnu. They became transformed and became devotees. So the devotee is appreciative of the different qualities and the variegatedness Prabhupada is explaining that exists in the spiritual world. And that variegatedness is actually the very specific quality of the spiritual world. And such variegatedness of the spiritual world is exhibited in pure goodness, in Shuddha Sattva. And I repeat, in the material world, this Shuddha Sattva doesn't exist. It is always contaminated with tinges of passion and ignorance, but only exists in the transcendental world. So they're saying, until this time we were jnanis, now we become devotees. And we realized previously that we were just Atma, but now we realize that you are also Supreme Atma. So a jnani, he does not realize Bhagavan. He doesn't realize. He only realized a non-describable Brahma Jyoti or Brahman as being the absolute truth, and he is a particular speck particle of that Brahman, and that he will merge into that Brahman. He has no understanding because Brahman doesn't have quality, like I am repeating. So therefore, when you see the quality of the Supreme Personality of God that transcend Brahman, then we know that we are reaching a higher level of understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth as Bhagavan. So we realized previously that we were Atma, but now we realize you are the Supreme Paramatma Tattva. And that's the word they use, Paramatma Tattva. You are the Supreme Absolute Truth, higher than, which means the source of all of it. And now they're saying, like Krishna also says, Brahmanoi Pratishtaham, that the Supreme Lord is the basis of Brahman. So Jnanis, they realize this. They cannot realize this form of the Lord without bhakti. You cannot realize the form of the Lord without bhakti. That's why, so many different schools and paramparas and traditions in Vedic system, they denigrate the form of the Lord. Because their understanding of spirituality is Brahman, the Lord is Brahman. Bas, ho gaya. That's it. No, the Supreme Absolute Truth is not just Brahman. He is Brahman, yes. He's also Paramatma. And he's also Bhagavan. And the last word in the understanding of Absolute Truth is that he's Bhagavan. An aspect of Bhagavan is Paramatma. Another aspect of Bhagavan is Brahman. So there is this confusion in Vedic tradition, in the different traditions, which is actually a very catastrophic misunderstanding, which Prabhupada took upon himself to address vehemently in his preaching. Prabhupada addressed this almost as a fanatic. He addressed this, that The supreme absolute truth is personal. And if you think that the supreme absolute truth is impersonal, he described it as calamity. It's calamity. In his famous Vyaspuja offering, he said, this is, if people understand that the supreme absolute truth doesn't have form, it is just Brahman, it is just that, Brahma Jyoti is that energy, he said this is calamity. Why? Because everyone will become very egotistic. It will not be a good foundational principle to create a harmonious society, because everyone will worry about themselves. Because everyone has to be singularly attached to himself to attain that spiritual status of Brahman realization. And therefore, they will have no propensity for seva, service. Whereas the living entity is given a particular body, and he's given an intellect, he's given a mind, and he's given centrally situated around this intellect, this chitta, this consciousness, with the mind, intellect, and false ego. He has all the senses. And therefore, for him to be naturally active is constitutional. So therefore, to think that the supreme absolute truth is Brahman, it is not Bhagavan with no quality, is actually suicide. And that's why Prabhupada said it is calamity. How do we know? That was probably the most important mission of Srila Prabhupada. And nowadays, with the advent of, social media and everything, everyone is taking pot shot at ISKCON and this and that. And even in the Indian media, you see there's a lot of criticism of ISKCON going on. Why? Because the different traditions are waking up to what ISKCON is representing. And they're also understanding to what various traditions have actually, I would say, lulled. The average person, the Sanatini, the average person in the Vedic system, to thinking that you're just Brahman. And you see so many swamis are speaking, so many yogis are speaking in India and even around the world, but they're all tinged with this incomplete understanding of the absolute truth. And because it doesn't require us to make an extra effort to serve, it only requires us just an effort to be spiritual, it is easier. Or to think that we are spiritual. So therefore, there is no further engagement required. There's no process to follow, just a process to meditate and think, soham, I am spiritual, I'm Atma, I am it, I am it, I am that, I am it, which means I am the absolute. I am like Brahman. I am Brahman, in fact. And Brahman is an absolute truth, and I am Brahman, so I am as good as the absolute truth. So that's calamity. And therefore, Prabhupada, he specifically created his pranam mantra to indicate that that is his mission. And Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine, very profound. Now we offer our obeisances to the servant of Saraswati, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. What did he do? Gauravani Pracharine, he preaching the message of Gauranga, which is essentially Nirvishesh, which means voidism. So Nirvishesha means impersonalism. Sunyavadi, which means voidism. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi, which is the two most malignant philosophy in the West that is catching up. from India. It is very malignant in India. And it is this philosophy of Nirvishesh and Sunyavad, which means impersonalism and voidism, which means the supreme absolute truth is impersonal Brahman, and in it there's nothing. And he said, the mission of Srila Prabhupada is Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine, to free from the grip of this Nirvishesh, or this voidism and impersonalism, the Western world. That was his mission. But the root of understanding of impersonalism is coming from India. It's also, and the Sunyavad, the Sunyavad is also part of, Buddhism. So Srila Prabhupada's mission has been singularly the most powerful presentation of the concept of the absolute truth being Bhagavan. The supreme absolute truth being a person, right? But interestingly enough, the Srimad Bhagavatam, he propounds this highest truth, that the supreme absolute truth is a person, and the supreme absolute truth has his own abode, dhamna svena nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimai. He has his own abode, and he is a person. And he is none other than the son of Vasudeva. That's why we say, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now, these four boys have just come to that understanding now, when they saw Lord Vishnu. He said, before we were just Atma Atma. I am soul, you are soul, everyone is soul. Now realize that no, there is soul, 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 and there is Param Tattva. There is a supreme soul. That's you, my dear Lord. You come in front of, now we realize it, that's you. And that's what the understanding is all here. And that can only be done by the mercy of the pure devotees. Okay? So this is a very essence of our philosophy. And we are around the world now being attacked because we want to be devotees of Krishna and others just want to be spiritual. So the four Kumaras have shed some light on this very interestingly in this purport. Prabhupada is saying. So he's saying that this, but this understanding of transcendental variegatedness, it only can be done by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, not by the ascending process, which is the jnana process, and by the mental speculation, which is the jnana process, and by the ascending process, which is the krama mukti process of attaining Paramatma realization, which is also a mechanical yogic process, and you try to do it by your own effort. Therefore, it is called the Aropantha, the ascending process. So this has been going on for years. And Prabhupada's contribution to that has been immense. And any devotee who wants to be a preacher has to understand that the Supreme Absolute Truth has to be understood in three aspects. And to make it more clear, if you want me to explain it, how important that is, let me show you two books. Right. Based on that verse, I quoted 1 to 11, which is the verse that Prabhupada is paraphrasing on the first part of this purport. To understand that verse, I can maybe show it. Maybe I can show it. Can you enable me, Prabhu? Or you can get the verse 1 to 11. I think it is 1 to 11. Yeah, 1 to 11.
Sadi Prabhu, are you there?
Yeah, it's there. No? Sharika, you getting it?
Yes, I'm wondering what it's not responding.
Okay. Well, here it is. Yes. Okay, click on the text 11 and you'll get the Sanskrit. Yes. Okay, here. This is the basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it says, Vadanti tat tat tavidas tattam adjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwaniti sabjate. The seers of the truth has concluded that this tattam, advayam, this is one substance, which is one spiritual substance, advayam. There's no two. The Supreme Absolute, there's no two, it is one, but it is understood in free phase. Go down. Yeah. It is one. Who knows the absolute truth calls this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. So the Jnanis, the impersonalists realize only Brahman, just like the four Kumaras. They only had understanding of Brahman. The yogis, they go through the mechanical process of trying to conquer Paramatma within the heart by the process of Dhyana Yoga. It's a bhakti process also. If they have this bhakti mood, just like the yogis described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and the devotee, he understands Bhagavan. Based on that, don't remove this verse. Based on that, Jiva Goswami has written this book, which is the explanation of all of it is about 1,000 pages. It's called Bhagavad Sandarbha. Just to explain Bhagavan. Look at that. But then you may wonder, why didn't you write a book to explain Brahman? There's nothing to explain in Brahman. Brahman doesn't have quality. But he's written a book to explain Bhagavan. This is called Bhagavad Sandarbha, which is the basis of that book is that verse. And to explain Paramatma, he's written that book, Paramatma Sandarbha. So how important it is, this is Jiva Goswami. So he's explained the whole Srimad Bhagavatam and the basis of understanding our pramana, our proof. He's written a special book called Tattva Sandarbha, which is another book. And this one he's written to explain Paramatma, then another one he's written to explain Bhagavan. And then he's written Bhakti Sandarbha, and then he's written, which is explaining Bhakti in all its deep aspect. And then he's written a book to explain Krishna as the absolute truth, Krishna Sandarbha, which is huge, volumes. And then he's explained another book which explains Bhakti, Priti, which means love of God. So these forms these 6 books called the Sad. Sad means 6 Sandarbhas. They explain the whole etymology, the whole ontological writings of Vedic Siddhanta, of Gaudiya Siddhanta. So just on that here, you see how important it is. So if a devotee does not understand or doesn't make an effort to understand the difference between Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, I'm wondering how you can actually preach or push forward our philosophy. So there is definitely the transformation of the 4 Kumaras from Brahmagyanis to devotees, high-class devotees. And these devotees don't become just like normal devotees. They become incredibly, top-level devotees. They're not just like normal devotees like me and you, because they're already pure. And because they're already pure, when they become devotees, they become like the best of the best of the best. Another example is, of course, maybe other speakers may have spoken about it. Who's the other example? Shalika Prabhu. It's Shukdev Goswami, right? Shukdev Goswami was in the same mood. He was born as a Brahmagyani, completely transcendental. no desire for even initiation, having namkaran sanskar, recognizing his mother or father. He didn't even have to bother wearing clothes. He was so off the bodily consciousness of life. And then he started hearing the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he became transformed. He heard the beauty of Krishna's entering the forest of Vrindavan, and he became absolutely transformed. So he was a Brahmagyani, and he became completely transformed. And these four Kumaras, they were Brahmagyanis, they became completely transformed. So therefore, more than just a Brahman, the Supreme Absolute Truth has a higher status for us to attain, which is the Brahman aspect. So this is very important for us to understand. Very, very important for us to understand. So what happened is when Sukadeva Goswami, okay, let's summarize it quickly so that it makes a difference. The Kumaras, they get the smell from the tulasi and the tow and the chandan offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. That smell hit them like something they have never experienced, right? That smell. It hit them like something that they have never experienced. I think it is a verse 43 that you have studied recently, right? It is a verse 43 that you have studied. Yeah. Tasyaravinda nayanasya padaravinda kinjal kamishra tulasi makaranda vayu. I have it here. Antargatas vivarena chakara tesham Sanshobhyam Aksharam Jushtam Apichita Tanvo. They got the smell of the lotus feet mixed with tulasi and the chandan offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. That quality, that taste, just like devotees, they eat some halwa and they become devotees. Because that taste of spiritual substance, spiritual quality, transform devotees. Right? Some devotees have just become devotees of Krishna just by smelling the incense. Some have become devotees of Krishna just by taking some halwa. Now, these devotees, these jnanis, these excellent, super excellent transcendentalists, they had no material attraction. We had material attraction. Still, coming in contact with the knowledge, with the book, with the prasad, we become transformed. Of course, our transformation is not as complete as their transformation because they're already pure. But the transformation is from a pure jnani, they become a pure devotee. So it is said here, antargata sovivarena chakaratesham. The inside completely changed, the consciousness changed, and they become sakshobham aksharam apijita tanva. They become completely changed. Now what happens to Sukadeva Goswami? Sukadeva Goswami, he heard from the mouth of one of the disciples of Vyasadeva the beautiful description of the lotus feet or the beautiful description of the beauty of Lord Krishna, right? His Rupa Madhuri. And this is the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, right? He says, Badaha Pidan Nata Vadavapu Karnayo Nikaro Randran Venu Ashara Sudhar Randran, no, sorry. Barha Pidan Nata Vadavapu Karnayo Karnikaram Bibrad Vasa Kanaka Kapishang Vajayantim Chamalam Randran Venu Radhaya Sudharyor Apurayan Gopa Vrindair Vindaranyam Sapadaramanam Pravishada Gita Kirti. And this is the description of the Rupa Madhuri of the Supreme Lord. He says, and this verse was heard by Sukadeva Goswami. And this verse is, wearing a peacock feather, ornament upon his head, blue karnika flowers tucked in his ear, a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and a beautiful Vajayanti Mala garland around his neck. Lord Krishna exhibited his transcendental form as Natavara-Vapu, the greatest of all dancers. Right? Now imagine Sukadeva Goswami, no attraction for any form, no attraction for any shape, no attraction for any quality, He's just absorbed in his understanding of I am spiritual, I am transcendental, I am Brahman, and has no association with anything material or anything of quality. He hears this beautiful description of the Supreme Lord. What happens to him? He says, what is this? And he says, he hears of the description of this person who is as brilliant, who's wearing cloth as brilliant as gold, wearing a beautiful Vajayanti mala. He's exhibiting his form as the greatest dancer and is entering the forest of Vrindavan and is beautifying the land of Braja with his beautiful footprints. And then he's filling the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips. And then he's imagining all of that. And then he said, and the cowherd boys accompanying him are singing his glories. This beautiful description of the Supreme Lord hit the heart of Sukadeva Goswami, who was as pure as the cleanest crystal water you can get, not a tinge of material contamination. But this description of spiritual quality of Krishna just hit his heart. What happened to him? He becomes like mad. He experiencing a taste even higher than he's already in, just like the four boys. When they entered the sixth, seventh gate of Vaikuntha, they started experiencing something. And when they experienced the smell of Lord Vishnu, they thought, wow, this is out of this world. So then this one disciple of Vyasadeva who was chasing after Sukadeva, he's stating this verse, which is 10:21:5, right? Sukadeva Goswami became transformed. He said, my goodness, I thought there couldn't be more than the joy and happiness I'm experiencing. But this is something else. Who is this person? Who is this person? So he goes to this lumberjack, this woodcutter person, and then he says, hey, does this person really exist? He said, yes, yes, this person is there. And he said, but he's absolutely beautiful. I've never heard anything like this. But he said, is he only just beautiful? Has he any other quality? Then the other person, that was accompanying the two students of Vyasadeva were accompanying, sort of incognito, hiding behind the trees and trying to figure out where is Sukadeva. He started saying another verse, which is Aho Bakiyam Sthanakala Kuttam. I just forgot the rest. It says, he started describing the merciful quality of the Aho Bakiyam. Maybe you can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Just 1 minute. Aho Bakiyam Sthanakala Kuttam. I forget. It's second canto, third chapter, maybe verse 10 or something. I don't know. I forgot. Aho Bakiyam. So this other verse describes the absolute quality of the Supreme Lord, who is so merciful. Aho Bhakyam Stanakala Kutam Jigam Sayayat Avapai. And then it says that he's so merciful that that he gives a position of mother, even though Putana, she was a Baki, she was a Dain, she was a sorceress, and she offered her milk with the ill intention of killing him, her breast with the ill intention of killing him. The Lord was so merciful that she was awarded the position of a nurse in Vrindavan. So he says the Lord is so merciful that he gave the position of mother to this sorceress, Putana. So then the transformation of Shukadeva Goswami was complete from a Jnani, Brahma Jnani, to a pure devotee. So you have two stories here. So you see that Brahman is one aspect, and you can be stuck on that aspect without appreciating the supreme absolute truth. Here it is. No, it's not that. Aho Bakiyam. Aho Bakiyam. It's third canto or second canto. Let me find it here. Okay, I can find it on my. I'll find it. I mean, we know these. We have to remember these things by heart. But I'm getting old. Pahobakiyam sthanakalakutam. Okay, here it is. Free 223. 30 to 23. Free to 23. Free to 23. Third canto. Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jigam shaya papayad apiya shadvi lebe gatim dhatrim uchitam tatunyam kambadayalum sharanam rajema. That's a verse. So he says, alas, how shall I not take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother? He who granted the position of a mother to a she-demon, although she was unfaithful. She was asadavi. She was an asadavi. And she had prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breath. It's still the Lord offered that putana, the position of khatrim, which means nurse or mother. Here, just 1 minute. Just go up a bit. Yeah, lebe gatim dhatrim uchitam tatvanyam. So who can be more merciful than a person like this? So the transformation of Sukadeva Goswami was complete. He said, I want to know about this person. Where can I find this person? So you see the parallel, the Brahma, the four Kumaras also, they went wanting to know this person whom they had heard the description of from their father. So there, when they smell the lotus toenail of the Supreme Lord with the Tulsi offered and everything, they had experienced a complete transformation. And the same here, when they heard the description of the beauty and the merciful nature of the Supreme Lord, Sukadeva Goswami underwent a 100% transformation from a Brahmagyani, understanding of Brahman, to understanding Paramatma. So he asked, where can I find out more about this person? He said, follow me. Follow us. So these two boys, these two students took him back to his father. He said, here, he can teach you about this. And therefore, Vyasadeva taught Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami. So Bhagavatam doesn't speak about Brahman, speaks about Bhagavan. Right? And of course, it explains about Paramatma, because first step in God realization, Sukadeva Goswami explains in second canto, is also understanding Paramatma. So is that kind of clear? Is that kind of clear? I mean, this is the explanation of the Brahma Gyanis and the Gyanis. They understand the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord. Now, as far as why are they so incredibly powerful personalities when they were Gyanis before? Because they had no tinge of Rajagun and Tamogun in them. They were already on the transcendental platform, but had no realization of Bhagavan. They had realization of Brahman. So Krishna does say in the Bhagavad Gita, when he explains about the different categories of people who surrender to him, which is in text 15 and 16, then Krishna upgrade to the text 17, and he says, in the text 17, he says, Te sam jnani nitya yukta. Such a jnani, such as the four Kumaras, such as Sukadeva Goswami, Te sam jnani nitya yukta, always engage in my Eka Bhaktir, Ekanta Govinda Bhaktir, single-mindedly engage in Krishna's devotional service, Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate. He said, Priyo hi jnanino, tyartam aham cha samama priya. He said, such a person, he's so dear to me, right? And I am so dear to him. So therefore, the four Kumaras and Sukadeva Goswami became the dearest of the dearest of the dearest of the devotees of Krishna, because they were already transcendental. So they shifted gear to become pure devotees. They were already pure. So you see that is, so someone can become a Brahmagyani, understand Brahman, and so on and so forth. And he may just be stuck on that platform unless he gets the association of qualities related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or qualities of association from the pure devotees of Krishna. So such was the case. And therefore, the four Kumaras are making prayers. He said, we've come here by the mercy of the devotees, by your mercy. Now we're able to understand what is the Supreme Absolute Truth. And Prabhupada has explained this in this purport. So I'm trying to do a little bit of seva explaining it. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantharada Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shishinita Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very beautiful, very detailed, enlightened Krishna Katha. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations you may want to ask or share, please you indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question. Already there is one question in the chat room from Avinash Prabhu. So his first question is, so at the time of death, when the soul leaves the dying body, the next body, the soul goes.
If Janak told you this, then you should.
Yeah, I can. On what mixture of modes of material nature the living soul in your comment or explanation? Yes. It is on whatever state of consciousness you are at the time of death, whatever state of consciousness you are at the time of death, which means that your consciousness is mixed with certain modes of material nature, no? So that state of consciousness you will attain. So it is a continuation of your present status of life. Your next status is a continuation of your present status of life. Yeah? So Krishna, if you are living a certain life at this particular junction in life, then you will carry on in that same way in your next life. So if your life is mixed with the mode of goodness, you will have a life mostly in the mode of goodness. Of course, mode of goodness is not always pure, is not always 100% goodness. But if you are primarily in the mode of goodness, then you will attain a life in the mode of goodness. And if you are in the mode of passion, you will attain a status of life, a body, circumstances in the mode of passion, Rajogun. And if you're in Tamogun, then you will reach that status. So when the soul leaves the body, it is a continuation of the karmic cycle. It is not the end, and it is not a restart. It is just a continuation. It is a cycle. So one body is collapsing, and depending on the consciousness surrounding within which the soul is operating, which is dictated by the gunas, which is the frequencies that with which the prakriti, the material nature works, you will get a similar body. Yam yam vapi smarambhavam tajatayanta kalevaram. This is explained in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So whatever status you think at the time of death, that you will attain. So it is a continuation, Prabhuji. It is not like you start again. So if you're in the mode of, it is said that if you're in the mode of, he says, urdhvam gachanti sattata madhya tishtanti rajasa ado gachanti tamasa. If you are in the sattva gun, you will go up. You probably will end up, yeah, that's a verse. If you are in the sattva gun, you will go up to heavenly planets. If you're in the predominantly in the rajagun, you'll be born again as a human being. And if you're in sattva gun, you will go either to the lower planetary system or you'll go to a lower form of life. So we have to make sure that by practice of bhakti and devotional service and following the principles of dharma, we actually stay on the human platform or we go up, right? But then there's a trap there because this is a cycle of birth and death. You can go up, being promoted to a higher planetary system, but you will come down again. So what we do is we try to clear ourselves of all influence of the free modes of material nature and try to become transcendental, which is in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And then the effect of the gunas don't act upon us. We just make progress towards this supreme spiritual goal. Yes, thank you. Other questions?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Prabhuji, I have this question. Oh, no, let's go to Madhu. We have two Madhus here. But
Yeah,
we have, yes,
it's only
please,
one
you may
person.
unmute.
Yeah, it's only one person because I am inaudible in the other in my laptop.
Okay.
That's why
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
muted.
please.
Yeah, I've got a
It's like
question,
one
Prabhu.
person in one person with two existence. Yeah.
Yes, two bodies.
Two bodies. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Go on.
Yes, Prabhu. I'd like to know whether Brahman and Brahma Jyoti is the same.
Brahman and the Brahma Jyoti is the same. Yes, you can say that it's same, but it is Brahman is spiritual substance, and Brahma Jyoti is a light in the spiritual realm, which is an emanation from the toenail of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is explained in Brahma Samhita 534. Ego Pyaso Rachayitum Jagatanda, something like that. And Jiva Goswami explained that. You can research it somewhere. So Brahman is called the spiritual substance, so to speak. Brahman is an aspect of the absolute truth. And Brahma Jyoti is that spiritual light through which everything is sustained. So there may be a difference in quality. I cannot, I have to research this actually. I've never really, it's something that's been on my mind actually, but can research it a little bit more. But the understanding is Brahman is, I am Brahman. Bhagavan is Brahman. Paramatma is Brahman. Right? So that is the understanding of Brahman, which means spiritual. And it is a non-dual substance. It is a spiritual, sort of our constituent is spiritual identity, which is Brahman. So Brahma Jyoti, Brahman. I'm not sure I can answer that question. I'll have to research that. Yeah. Because Brahma Jyoti is the emanation of the effulgent light that is filling the Brahman, the spiritual sky. And the material world is also situated in that Brahma Jyoti. Yeah, maybe there's some distinction. It's a very difficult question, actually. I will research it. And I'll ask my
Prabhu,
teacher.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I will research it. Yeah, thank you. I have it here. I'll just have to go through it.
Well, Prabhuji, I have a similar question to Madhu Mataji's question. And that is, of course, thank you so much for such a wonderful delivery of Shri Krishna Katha. We understand, and you also just explained how these four Kumaras
Yes.
were impersonalists. We've
Yes.
learned that the impersonalists technically relate with the Lord within. Those who are personalists relate with the Lord both within and without. So I am not sure as to at what point these four Kumaras smelled the tulsi leaf coming from the lotus feet of the Lord, that made them personalists? Otherwise, my question is, if they were impersonalists, why were they going into Vaikuntha in the first place?
Yes. So I mean you maybe you forgot my class 1526. I spoke about that. There is a free verses in 15, 25, 26, and 27. What qualified them to go to the spiritual world? What qualified them to go all the way up to there? They were impersonalists, means that they were not really bhaktas. If you listen to the class I gave on 315, I actually went through the whole detail of it. The reason I went through and Salika Prabhu, he talked to me about it, and he said that was a kind of a profound presentation. It went through the detail that we haven't heard. The reason is because I did a 3,000-word essay on it. And that's why. So there's a whole explanation from different acharyas, and I made a comparative study of the different acharyas explaining why and how they actually went up there. Right? So they were Brahman. They were situated they had Brahman realization. Now you have to understand something, bro. To have Brahman realization is a very high status in itself, because we don't have that Brahman realization fully yet, because we're still struggling, we're influenced by the modes of material nature. But they were such highly qualified impersonalists, like you say, but they had understanding of Brahman as a spiritual substance. They had understanding fully that they are not body, they are soul. They were pure from that sense. So they had understanding of their impersonal, the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord. They had understanding that they are not the material body. They were not attracted to anything minutely in the material world, right? But they had no understanding or attraction or understanding of the Brahman aspect of the absolute truth. Some understanding were there in their heart and mind because they had heard from their father, and they said in the previous verse, we had heard from our father, therefore we wanted to come and see you. So some indication of their transformation was happening, was already there. But they hadn't actually achieved that transformation. And it is explained in the verse 27, if you go back, but don't worry about it, that the Lord Vishnu actually arranged for them to come to the spiritual world. Why did Lord Vishnu arrange for them to come to the spiritual world? Because he wanted to teach them about bhakti. Just like the Sukadeva Goswami, his father wanted to teach him bhakti, so he sent these two of his students to glorify Krishna, and by glorification of Krishna, they reached a certain transformation. Right? So this is actually what has happened. So even though they were not devotees, they were a lot, sorry to put it like that, they were a lot more qualified than all of us, because they were actually completely transcendental. The only thing that was missing, their attraction to the Supreme Lord. But they had no tinge of material contamination in their system. So that's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, such a person, when they become devotees, they become super excellent devotees. Tesam Jnani Nitya Yukta. Such a devotee, he becomes engaged in my devotional service. Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate, they become the topmost, the best of the best of the best, because they're already pure. So I give another explanation on this. When Narad Muni and Vyasadeva, they had concerted together and the Srimad Bhagavatam was written, they wanted to get someone who will be the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. And they actually were praying and wishing that they will get someone who has zero connection with anything to do with the modes of material nature. And when they would find that person who has zero connection with the modes of material nature, that person would be a perfect speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. And they found it in the person of Sukadeva Goswami. So Sukadeva Goswami, even though originally had full impersonal realization of Bhagavan, he has also zero attraction to anything to do with Rajagun, Tamogun, Satogun. He didn't even care about his existence. He didn't even know he was in this body. That's why he didn't wear any clothes. He was completely situated on the transcendental platform, I am Brahman. So when he heard Srimad Bhagavatam, his transformation was absolutely complete. And therefore, when Narad Muni and Vyasadeva saw that he came into the assembly of the king and his associates, waiting to able to find a way out of the dilemma of 7-day curse, when Sukadeva Goswami came and he jumped on, sat on the Vyasasan, Vyasadeva and Narad Muni, they hung around. They said, "We'll hear. Now we got the best person here." So does that give a right understanding and the right perspective of understanding someone who has a Brahman realization and someone who has a Bhagavan realization to you? You see, there has been a stereotype in ISKCON where impersonalist has been demonized. And therefore, oh, you're an impersonalist. And I always say, sorry, the four Kumaras were also impersonalist. And Sukadeva Goswami was also impersonalist. But they were not like the impersonalist, offensive category of impersonalist. In other words, they were impersonalists, they were not Mayavadis. Nowadays, you get Mayavadis. Mayavadis means they do not have any appreciation. They think they are Brahman, half understanding, a half-baked understanding I'm Brahman, but they have no understanding of modes of material nature. They are fully immersed in modes of material nature, only a kind of a philosophical understanding of I'm Brahman, no realization. And they are smoking ganja, they're doing this, they're doing that. And then they are trying to denigrate the form of the Lord. Oh, Brahman, just a spiritual substance, and I am Brahman, you are Brahman, everyone is Brahman. This form of the Lord is Maya. That's Mayavadi. Those guys are offensive. So we mix the two in the same basket. And because of this, I think devotees are enabled to clearly understand this meaning of the three aspects of absolute truth, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Because there has been some kind of a anti-impersonalist propaganda within our ISKCON sort of psyche.
Yeah. Well, Prabhuji, I have one more question, and then Avinash Prabhu also has one more question in the chat room. But my question is, excuse me. There are many statements made in our scriptures that appear to make no sense until they are explained. Before they get explained, they do not make sense. One is we hear, just like you said right now, that Shukadev Goswami was an impersonalist until his father educated him on personalism. Now, if that is the case, then how do we understand and accept that this same Shukadev Goswami, as some devotees explain, is an eternal parrot to Srimati Radharani? If someone is an eternal parrot to Srimati Radharani, how does such an individual become impersonalist? Except maybe it's just a drama. So if you throw some light to this.
First of all, it's like you're saying become an impersonalist. It's like saying that he's come down. And that's a lingo that we have to, when understanding tattva properly, that's a lingo that's not very helpful. The language is not very helpful. Because he this is a situation where if he was a parrot, I don't know where that information comes from because I haven't found any Shastric evidence for it, but stories abound. I know stories abound that he was a parrot of Srimati Radharani, Sukha. Stories abound, but I haven't found any Shastric evidence. But never mind, even if it is there, it is a lila, it is a play, it is a pastime of the Supreme Lord where he sent one of the most important persons, and then that person's he gets his transformation by the mercy of Guru. Now, this is one common denominator in every aspect of a disciple's life. Sukadeva Goswami, even though if he would have been the parrot of Srimati Radharani, when he appears in this world, his transformation to the highest status devotional life is always through the transformation that is achieved by the mercy of Guru. That's a common factor. So if someone comes and you see Lord Chaitanya, he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But you see Gadadhar Pandit Narahari Thakur always saying, oh, this Nimai Pandit is such a great person. He's such a wonderful person. He's only if he could become a devotee. Because he was serving as the teacher in the Tola, in the local school of Gangadas Pandit. And he was a grammarian and he was teaching Nyaya Vaisheshika, he was teaching Nyaya, logic. But he wasn't like so much interested in spiritual life. But when did he transform? He transformed when he met his spiritual master. So you will see that even Vyasadeva, even though he's an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wrote all the scriptures and everything. But then when he came to writing the highest pramana, Srimad Bhagavatam, he was at a loss. And you can read in the first canto, chapter 5, Vyasadeva was very upset with himself. He said, I am feeling despondent, I'm feeling empty, I've done everything right, but it doesn't seem like I'm satisfied inside. I don't know what's the reason for that. And lo and behold, Narad Muni comes. And Narad Muni says, Prabhu, what is happening? He said, I'm not feeling good inside. He said, I felt like I've done everything right. And then Narada tells him a very, very heavy note. And he said, well, don't you know the difference between the body and the mind and the body and the soul? And it is like saying that to Vyasadeva, that is like a heavy insult. He said, because whatever you have written is only pertaining to the fourth Purushartha, which is something that everyone is interested in. So therefore, you have not written sufficiently about glorifying directly and repeatedly over and over again the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, do you think that Vyasadeva didn't have the brain or intelligence to understand that? But he needed the transformation to come from the Guru. He needed the transformation to come from the Guru. So therefore, and where did the message of Bhagavatam come from? From from Brahmaji, come through Narada, and then he comes and he delivers sort of Vyasadeva from this confusion, and he tells him, no, do it like this. And therefore, Bhagavatam becomes the Param Guru of Bhagavatam is Narad Muni. So this transformation is always there, Prabhu. And it is always shown to happen by the mercy of Guru. And in every single instance, you will see that. So even though if Sukadeva Goswami could have been a parrot of Radharani, in this Leela where he appears as Sukadeva Goswami, he would not just appear as a self-effulgent, all-knowing person who just comes out of the blue and infuse energy into the parampara. He will have to link up to the chain. Does that explain it to you?
Yes. So it's just like Arjuna playing the role of being ignorant.
Right.
So
yes.
just to help teach with the conditioned
Yes.
souls. Okay. I understand that. But Avinash Prabhu has one more question, if you may take that. It says, Prabhuji, reincarnation, when the soul moves from one body to another incarnation. But Srila Prabhupada also said the mridanga is the reincarnation of the flute of Krishna. I'm confused. Please clarify. I think it's getting the reincarnation and incarnation intertwined. So if you may help, Prabhupada.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's when you talk about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and sometimes different instruments or different paraphernalia of the Lord, they're actually considered to be living beings. Just like, because in the spiritual realm, everything is consciousness. Chintamani prakara sadmukha kalpaviksha. Everything is consciousness. So the paraphernalia and the items belonging to the Lord, they are not just dead matter. There is no jada. They're not just dead matter. They're all conscious. So therefore, the different forms of the Lord, like you see the mace of the Supreme Lord, or the Kashtubamani of the Supreme Lord, or the helmet of the Supreme Lord, or the weapons of the Supreme Lord, they're actually living beings. Just like Krishna's flute is actually Murli, is actually conscious, and Lord Krishna's chakra is conscious. So because they are living beings, taking the form of a servant as an object, which is at the service of Krishna, sometimes they are meant to come as that object here. So in the Gaura Ganadesh Dipika, it is said that the incarnations of the Krishna's flute is a mridanga, because the flute of Lord Krishna attracts the whole world to Vrindavan, and therefore the sound of the mridanga attracts everyone to the kirtan of Lord Chaitanya. So there's some kind of a similarity and explanations in there. It is a hard tattva to understand, because you have to start understanding the spiritual world in its entirety and understand the different parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord there as not being just dead matter. They're not just like earth, water, fire, air, ether. Because the whole spiritual world is Shuddha Sattva. The composition of everything there has no passion and ignorance in it. It's pure goodness. Therefore, it is transcendental. It is not like an object here. It has weight. It has consciousness. Everything has consciousness. So therefore, it is a different realm, and we cannot quite understand it from sort of extrapolating our experience here to understand what it is there. Like one thing is Lord Vishnu's Kastubamani takes the incarnation of Maharaj Kulasekhara, and the different forms that adorns the body of Lord Vishnu, they appear as the Alvar saints in Ramanuja Sampradaya. So on and so forth. Hare Krishna. We will leave it at that. I think don't want to go more deep into that.
Yeah,
otherwise,
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Salika Prabhu, do you have something to say? Does anyone have something to say before we call it a day?
Yeah, actually, I had a question. I was just trying to allow devotees to speak. When you're describing the state of consciousness of the Sukadev Goswami and the four Kumaras, how they were completely free, and that gave the impetus why they could appreciate. And I start wondering, we are presently under the influence of the modes, and then we're practicing this process of bhakti. Do we, at one point in time in our devotional growth, have to come to that state of completely detachment, like example of Sukadev Goswami, or to get to bhakti, or by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's a different scenario? I just wanted to know, is that
No, we are following a different process, Prabhu. They follow the process of jnana to come to Brahman realization. We follow the process of bhakti. So we will pass through the process of Brahman without realizing that we pass through the process of Brahman. They are following a different process. We are following a different process.
Okay.
Their process requires understanding Sankhya, understanding, proper understanding of the difference between matter and spirit, and then they completely negate anything to do with material matter, and then they understand I'm spiritual. The process of jnana. They follow that process. They are jnani. That particular category of yogis, they are jnana yogis. We are bhakti yogis. We don't follow that process of 1880. We don't follow the process of jnana sankhya. We follow the process of bhakti sankhya, devotional sankhya, which means we try to distinguish the difference between matter and spirit. Prabhupada keep repeatedly saying you're not the body. Use everything in Krishna's service. But Kapila Deva explained the whole process of devotional service linked to devotional sankhya in about 7 chapters, starting from chapter 25 of Canto 3. So we engage in devotional service, and while engaged in devotional service, we will come to understand that this material world belongs to Krishna. The material energy is controlled by Krishna. That none of the things here is of any value to me, and therefore I have to detach myself. So you will go through the process of bhakti and slowly get to the realization that I am spirit, I am Brahman, and I have no relationship with this material world. I do not want anything in this material world, but the process we follow is this, right? We do not have to subscribe to the school of jnana, come to that platform, become Sukadeva Goswami or 4 Kumaras, and then jump from there. No, we go through the process of, descending process. We take the knowledge, we apply, we move forward. And ultimately, when we become a realized devotee, automatically we will have Paramatma realization, automatically we will have Brahman realization. It is like Prabhupada says, you're taking the lift. You're taking the lift, and then by the side of the lift, you have all the different stairs. So you have first floor, second floor, third floor, and
Thank you
so
very
on.
much, Prabhuji.
Right. But when you're taking the floor, when you're taking this process of bhakti yoga, right, you may reach level 1, level 2, level 3, but you're not conscious of it because you want to reach level whatever, right? So that's the understanding. We don't follow, but at the same time, we have to jnana, knowledge, which is devotional knowledge, and devotional understanding of prakriti, which is explanation of Sankhya in Canto 3, it helps us in the process of bhakti. If you don't have this kind of understanding, we get stuck. So bhakti is completely independent, but jnana, certain aspects of jnana helps us to practice bhakti better. It's just like saying, okay, I used to give an example. He said, if you have a car in your house, right? You have a car in your house, in your home, then your child, even if it is 10-year-old, he can start to learn to drive, right? He can learn to drive, but then he's not allowed to go and drive on the street. To drive on the street, you need a special permit, right? So similarly, that special permit means that he will have to drive properly according to rules established by the government. So similarly, we may learn about all these different things, but how to practice devotional service, that knowledge is important. That knowledge is important. Do you follow? That knowledge is just like all that we are discussing. It helping us understand our position as devotees. Varaha Prabhu, I recognize you again. Thank you very much for giving me your association. Please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Prabhuji, thank you so much as always. We've been here for close to 2 hours. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving us this much time. We truly appreciate. Dear devotees, we thank you all for associating with us today. If today is your first time here, we encourage you to stop by anytime, same time, same place, Monday through Friday. If you can, you may stop by. By Sri Guru Krishna's grace, we oftentimes have different speakers. Just like today, we have this wonderful devotee. Prabhuji is a mentor to quite a number of us on this platform. Lots of us are scattered from all over the world. Some are from different continents. And it's amazing, Prabhuji has touched lots of us from different continents, and he's still touching us. So we're very grateful to Prabhuji. We're grateful to Guru Krishna. Salika Prabhu, Salika Prabhu. ADVAITA-KRISHNA Prabhu, I know you've spoken at length, but if you may have a concluding remark, and then we'll finally bring this to a close.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
So we made some clear explanations on the three aspects of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Make no mistake that if you have Paramatma realization, it's very good. If you have Brahman realization, very good. But the final say in understanding the Supreme Absolute Truth is understanding the Supreme Personality of God as Sri Krishna. There are three categories of yogis. There's the Jnana yogis. They follow the process to understand Jnana Yoga and come to the aspect of Brahman realization. There are the yogis who follow the path of meditation, Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. They will come to understand Paramatma. Their destination is also Brahman, and the destination of the Jnanis is also Brahman. And then there are the devotees who have an understanding of the absolute truth as being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They follow the path of Bhakti, and their destination is the supreme realm of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is the Vaikuntha planet, the Goloka planet. And then they will get into the service of all the different unlimited forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Exceptionally, there are some who follows the path of Jnana, come to the platform of Jnana with full realization, and then they take to upgrade themselves to understanding Paramatma, and some of them take to upgrade themselves to the platform of understanding Bhagavan. In the case of Sukadeva Goswami and four Kumaras, they had reached the full understanding of Brahman following the process of Jnana, and then they jumped to the understanding of Paramatma, of Bhagavan. Others come to the understanding of Brahman and jump to the understanding of Paramatma. Others just stay on the understanding of Brahman, and then they will end up in the Brahma Jyoti. So the Supreme Absolute Truth is understood as being Bhagavan, Paramatma, and Brahman. But all is not free. It is one with three features. Advayam Gyan, one understanding of one absolute truth in three features. Jnanis understand Brahman, yogis understand Paramatma, bhaktas understand Bhagavan, by which virtue they understand Bhagavan, Paramatma, and Brahman. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such wonderful concluding remark. Dear devotees, we humbly requesting you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation and gratitude to our beloved speaker, His Grace Sri ADVAITA-KRISHNA VANACARI, for sharing his love and wisdom with us all today. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chakal Pataribhyas Chakripas Vacha, Jada Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.
Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. His Grace Sri ADVAITA-KRISHNA VANACARI Ki Jai. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to Samad Vaishnavi devotees Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.